Is it Red Bull? Or maybe it's Mercedes? Or no, maybe it's McLaren. Who is going to have the fastest score in 2022? We're going to be checking that out right now. Because apparently Mercedes are coming back down to earth. And next year there's going to be like a rule change that's going to trigger somebody having the fastest score. So what I'm saying, we're gonna be hopping right into this video that's gonna help us figure that out. Who was the video by? The video was by BMPH. Link in the description for check out the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and let's run them up. Starting now. Who's gonna have the fastest score? Or maybe it's Ferrari. Oof. Damn. What is that car? Or maybe it's Aston Martin.
The 2022 Formula One season will see one of the biggest regulation overhauls in history, particularly on the technical front.
Okay.
The use of ground effects will make a return for the first time since 1982 to act as the predominant source of downforce and ensure the cars aren't as reliant on complex aerodynamic components to generate this downforce. Next year's cars will look radically different to the ones we see at the moment, and will hopefully bring the field closer together and allow for more competitive racing. But as we've seen before, it's no secret that a major change in regulations can grant teams an opportunity to exploit loopholes to gain an advantage.
Mercedes.
Now, while finalizing the regulations, the FIA assigned a committee of engineers with the task of preventing this from occurring.
Okay.
However, Formula One teams have some of the most talented engineers in the world. I can guarantee that at least one or even a few of them will find some innovation that completely blows the field away. Predicting who will come out on top is pretty much impossible, given how the slate is being wiped clean. However, what I want to discuss in this video is how the teams are preparing for the new regs, and who I think has the best chance of getting them right. Let's start with Haas, who have been said to be making good progress with their 2022 car. After publicly stating they would sacrifice this season by putting all their resources into the VF22, the team are optimistic about their chances of success. But what counts for them as success? In my opinion, it's getting back to near the front of the midfield like they were in 2018. It's pretty well known that the car is heavily sponsored by the Russian fertilizer company Uralkali, which is part-owned by Dmitry Mazepin. This investment, along with one from the German web hosting company 1&1, has provided them with financial stability for the long term. The team will most likely rely on the cost cap to close the gap between themselves and the other teams, so they will need to allocate their resources very wisely. They also came to an agreement with Ferrari to bring in Simona Resta into their technical department. Not only does this strengthen their long-term connection with the Italian manufacturers, but also allows for a transfer of technical knowledge from a front-running team. As Haas will likely finish either 9th or 10th in the Constructors' Championship, they will have more hours available to them in the wind tunnel, due to the new sliding scale aero testing rules. This means they have more flexibility to explore different concepts, which could help them move up the field if they are successful. Similarly, Williams will also have more wind tunnel and TFD time, given they are probably going to finish near the bottom with Haas. But what good is it having this extra time if you can't make the most out of it? The bigger teams have always had the advantage of greater funding and better facilities, meaning their processes are a lot more efficient. However, thanks to the £100 million investment from De Rilton, Williams not only don't have to worry about the debts they were in, they also have been able to update their technical infrastructure in preparation for the new regs. Team principal and CEO Jost Capito has already been making changes to their technical structure, as trackside and factory engineering weren't working hand in hand. This role previously belonged to Paddy Lowe, but after he left, the team opted not to fill the vacancy. Instead, they created an alternative role called Managing Director, which was responsible for technical operations and planning functions. This meant that the trackside and factory departments were reporting to different people, thus, development took place without a common goal. Capito's amendments ensured that trackside engineering no longer reported through the team principal, but through technical director FX de Maison. Furthermore, Williams' increased technical partnership with Mercedes will no doubt play a significant role in 2022, as they can focus their resources onto other performance areas. Alfa Romeo have made a pretty sizable step forward in 2021. Actually, scratch that. They have made the biggest step forward out of any other team on the grid. Even though the number of points scored doesn't back this up, in terms of lap time relative to the pace setters, they have closed the gap down the most. In fact, they were so confident in their package that they decided to switch off development for the year at the end of April. However, at the French Grand Prix, where the FIA's rear wing deflection test was revised, the team had to make major changes in order to meet the requirements. This meant that they had to spend more time and resources on the current car, which could have been put into 2022. Now, I don't think this will have too much of an impact in the long run, but it's not an ideal scenario.
Yep.
Nevertheless, there will still be a great opportunity for them to rise up the pecking order. AlphaTauri haven't openly discussed too much about how they're preparing for the new regulations, but I expect them to be at least in the mix, given their trajectory over the past couple of years. But since they are Red Bull's junior team, I wouldn't expect them to be challenging for podiums on a consistent basis, unless Red Bull build an absolute monster of a car in 2022. Even though AlphaTauri have been pursuing their own aero philosophy, the design concept is still integrated onto a car that shares a lot of similarities with the Red Bull. Therefore, they'll need to maintain a realistic goal, such as becoming the best team in the midfield. As for the best team in Formula 1, there are 6 teams that I believe have the potential to come up with a major breakthrough and set the bar performance-wise.
Okay, let's get to the big boys.
The first
then.
of those 6 is Aston Martin. Prior to Stroll's takeover, when the team was still Force India, they had the most cost-effective operation in Formula 1, finishing 4th in the Constructors' Championship on a couple of occasions, with a much smaller budget than those ahead of them. Now, every team will be limited to a $140 million budget cap. They won't be punching above their weight anymore, and have an opportunity to make some significant gains if they are as efficient as they can be. Aston Martin are currently reliant on Mercedes for their engines, as well as year-old technical components such as the gearbox and suspension. Now, this might seem like a disadvantage if they want to compete for championships against their suppliers and other top teams. But technical director Andrew Green believes that this model allows them to do a better job in other areas like aerodynamics. Alpine are in a similar position to Aston Martin, as they are a team with a lot of potential. They have the facilities, resources, financial backing, and so on. Question is, will they actually deliver on this potential? CEO Lorenz Rossi addressed this in an interview, stating, "The team in place now is a different set of people. We have a plan and we have a vision." When I arrived, I spoke quite extensively to Marcin, and he laid out a pretty clear roadmap for the team. I then went and spoke to all the engineers and realized that they're pretty much aligned with him, which is rare. That gives me a lot of confidence because there's a plan in place. Drivers like Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso wouldn't have joined Aston Martin and Alpine respectively if they didn't believe they could still win championships.
Yeah, the big boys.
I'd say keep a close eye on both teams, as they could very well end up becoming frontrunners next year. Now, the last 4, in my opinion, have the best chance at developing the fastest car on the grid in 2022. As we know, Ferrari have made solid steps forward since last year, taking 2 pole positions and a podium in the opening 9 rounds. Their ability to adapt to the modified aerodynamic rules for this year is a promising sign heading into the new regs. But the most impactful improvements on the SF21 have come from the engine, which, to be fair, couldn't have gotten much worse. Next season, though, the Italian team plan to design a completely new engine led by German engineer Wolf Zimmermann. The Superfast project is focused mainly around improving the combustion system. However, there is the risk of it not being reliable. But despite the engine freeze, they will be able to make changes for reliability reasons. So the risk involved isn't that great. If it turns out that this new power unit is competitive and robust, we might see Ferrari leading the pack once again. McLaren have been rebuilding for the past 3 seasons now, and the results after every single one show just how much progress they have made. Their rapid rise alone provides good reason to believe they will be in a great place to challenge for the title in 2022. The rebuild began back in 2018 when Zak Brown was appointed the role of CEO, and ever since then he has taken the team to another level. Andrea Seidel is one of the best team principals in Formula 1. Brutally honest, but not pessimistic. He's always looking for ways to help his team continue growing, and his leadership will play a significant role in getting them back on level terms with the leading two.
Okay.
As long as the team can build on the momentum already gained and follow that upward trajectory, there's no reason why they can't become championship contenders.
That's Lando Norris'
Lastly,
team, right?
We have Mercedes and Red Bull,
And
who
Ricardo.
at the moment are the teams to beat.
Facts.
For the second season in a row, they will be forced to develop the car within the cost cap like everyone else, and with the least CFD and wind tunnel running.
Yeah.
However, there's
Yeah. That means that they're too rich. You know what I'm saying? they will be forced to develop a car within the budget. Means that, I'm saying, they want to spend more, but they can't. They're not allowed to. But let's go, though.
they still have the best facilities and the best engineers to make up for these restrictions,
Yeah.
meaning they will most likely remain near the top. Back at the start of April, former technical director James Allison was promoted to fill the role of chief technical officer, with Mike Elliott becoming his direct replacement. Mercedes' future is in extremely good hands. We also know from history that they like being ahead of the curve.
Yep.
In 2013, Red Bull were well on track to win their fourth straight double world championship. But before the summer break, Lewis Hamilton took a maiden victory for Mercedes at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which somewhat rattled Red Bull. As a result of the growing threats, they decided to continue development on the RB9, while the Silver Arrows turned their attention to 2014. And we all know how that turned out. I expect it to be a similar story this time around, although I don't think Mercedes will be as overwhelmingly dominant as they were back then.
They cleaned out the
Despite
competition,
Red Bull's
eh?
continued development push in 2021, they will still be one of the best teams on the grid, thanks to this man. Ultimately, though, the sport would be much better off if we had multiple teams fighting for the championship, rather than one team ahead of the rest.
That's true. That's
Who
true.
knows? Maybe we could have an epic title battle between 3 or 4 different teams. Determining who will be at the front is extremely difficult, given how much the regulations are changing. But hopefully, this video has at least been informative enough for you to make an educated guess. So drop a comment below predicting who you think will be on top in 2022, and share this around with a friend to get their opinion too. Don't forget...
That's the end of the video. Who do we think is going to be on the top? You know what I'm saying? Let me know your choices in the comments. I'm going to go with Mercedes. I'm going to go with Mercedes because I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on Mercedes. That's why I'm going to go with Mercedes. And my sleeper team is going to be Aston Martin. That's Vettel's team. I'm going to go with Aston Martin as my sleeper team and Mercedes as my front runner. So you said let me know your sleeper and your like actual pick in the comments, and hopefully next year's as fun as it's supposed to be. And hopefully enjoy the video as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your stuff in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.